and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm Miss Ebony J, the Queen of Queens. So glad to be here with you on 101.5, 1230 The Buzz, your talk station, 101.1 The Wiz, and 100.3 Cincy's R&B station. I'm here every week for Community Conversations, which is a local syndicated podcast to talk about the things happening right here in the Queen City. Yes, we have so many different amazing nonprofit organizations that are doing so many awesome things to help solve the problems in our community. And I have on here with me today Mr. Gabe Woley. Is it Mr. Wolin? Did I say your last name wrong?
Like, oh, you're fine. It's Gage Woolley, like woolly mammoths.
Yes, Mr. Gage Woolley. And he is here representing the Bethany House.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm glad to have you. Can we talk about the Bethany House? You hear about it all the time. You all do so many amazing things, but what is the real mission and vision and goals of the Bethany House?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on, Miss Queen Ebony. We are very, very happy to be here today. I'm excited to be on. So thank you for letting me talk a little bit about Bethany House. Bethany House, we are the area's largest family homeless shelter. We house anywhere from 150 to 170 people at any given time. The real mission of Bethany House is to get families, especially families experiencing homelessness, housed. Right after that, there's two things into our mission. The other one is self-sufficiency. So we really want to try to make our family self-sufficient. So we do a lot of different things while they stay with us, from education, from job skills to learning skills. We're trying to make sure we impart our families a lot of the different things they need to be successful outside of Bethany House once they have their own place. You know, a lot of our families are going to have their own places within 2 months. The average time that a person stays at Bethany House right now is right around 50 days, but a little Rattata, we're at 52 last I knew. So, but the goal is always to get families out of our shelter in and out in around 30 to 35 days. It really just depends on the families though, and their barriers and their kind of situations from there. So
how do you all find family shelter?
So most families who are experiencing homelessness are going to be looking for shelter, and most of the time they're not going to be like the first call. Like if I was experiencing homelessness, my first call would not be to a shelter, right? It'd be likely to a friend or a family member or someplace that might have an extra bedroom. So it would never usually be a shelter first. So typically, you're going to see families kind of double up or kind of and when they double up, they're not like living in a 4-bedroom apartment. They're going to be like typically a smaller, like 1-bedroom unit with other family members that they might be with. So long story short, the families most of the time don't end up calling us until they are kicked out of that situation or moved on from that situation. So most people who are experiencing homelessness just look up and find us on Google. They'll just Bethany House, or they'll find, or they'll hear about Bethany House, or they'll see on Google, because we see these Google searches, we get different data now that'll tell us like, hey, that's how most people who are experiencing homelessness are finding us. They'll call us and we'll oftentimes guide them to what we call the central accident line, often known as the CAP line, which 381 SAFE is the number. So if you know a family experiencing homelessness, that would be the number to call. From there, there'll be a person on the other end of that line trying to explain essentially, what is your situation? Tell me about it, because we're going to put you and place you in the best family shelter out of that. We have a partnership with the other family shelters. So anybody who's experiencing family homelessness can call this line.
I think that is totally amazing having that phone line. Is it 24 hours?
It's not 24 hours. It's during the day, I believe, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you're going to want to call during those times, unless their hours have changed. But that last I knew, that was their hours. Coronavirus and pandemic might have changed their hours, not 100%, but I think that is still their time. So 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. That phone number, again, just for anybody in case they are listening and families are experiencing homelessness, 513-381 SAFE.
Now, what makes you
that's how most
would be able to receive help and assistance from the Bethany House?
Absolutely. So most of the families that we have staying with us at Bethany House are going to be single mothers and their children. 95% of our families that stay with us are led by single moms. So, um, single moms, and usually not just one child, but sometimes two or three. Um, the average age of a child that stays at Bethany House is right around 6 to 7 years old. The families comprise, last year I think we served 297 families, almost 300 families, 1,200 over 1,200 individuals just in our shelter programs. It doesn't even include our housing programs that are a little bit different as well. But the makeup of these families are often the most vulnerable and some of the most invisible faces of homelessness. You're never going to see a family on the most people think of homelessness, they think of a single man or a single woman on the street corner with a sign, right? You're never going to see a family doing that. A mother could have their child taken away technically, because that could be considered, you don't have a place for your child or your family to stay. So you'll never see that. And our families often live in fear sometimes because of that. But we're often trying to make sure these families know about Bethany House, know that our services do exist, because we want to help. We want to make sure families are receiving the services. A lot of the people who call that central access point line, because services are so dire and so in need. I think it was in 2019, 27%, only 27% of the people that received services, like called that line, received the services that they needed, because there's that many people calling
Wow.
it. So if anything, if anybody wants to leave with one piece of knowledge today, and I'll talk more about this later, is just the awareness of Bethany House, and that family homelessness does exist, and it's a problem in the city of Cincinnati that we have to come together to solve. It's not just us that are going to solve it, or you by me being on here talking today. This is going to take a collective effort of multiple people and multiple government agencies and people's willingness to try to help children, oftentimes that are sleeping out, sometimes outside in cars, sometimes doubled up in families' apartments on floors, for example. So, majority of the people that stay at Bethany House are children. It's about 66% of individuals that come to Bethany House are children.
Wow. So a parent can essentially or a child that's homeless can essentially just come, not necessarily needing a parent. When you're stating that most of them are children, is that what you mean, or are you saying like we have a lot of families here, so that has us with a lot of kids?
So we are a specific family homeless shelter. So
Okay.
the moms will be with their children, or sometimes we have single fathers and their children, or even dual parents and their children. But is specifically families together. There are other shelters here in the city, though, that do help children specifically that are by themselves. For example, I think Lighthouse does some of that. So, but we work with a lot of these other agencies. When phone calls are made in, for example, if a single woman calls in, we don't just say like, call this line. We're trying to make sure they get the right direct services. So we give them the phone number to the women's shelter here. So
This is Community Conversations on 1230 The Buzz, your talk station on 101.5, 101.1 The Wiz, and 100.3 Cincy's R&B station. I am Miss Ebony J. Of course, I'm here talking with the guy behind your events, the volunteer work, all the things done in the community when it comes to the Bethany House, Mr. Gabe Woolley. Just so glad to have you here talking about the great things that you all are offering. And I love to hear that you're helping the families, because I know that that's a big hard thing when you are experiencing homelessness, finding a safe place for your family to go. You all bring the family in together so they don't have to separate. That's truly a blessing.
absolutely. And it's a big priority of ours to try to make sure, families together all the way from, newborns to, eight children that are age 8 to 18. We're trying to make sure those families and those people stick together as much as possible. So just for example, last year we had 12 different women who were pregnant when they arrived at Bethany House, had their child, and then had to come back to Bethany.
Wow.
So that's just one example of yeah, like of the age range, like newborns, all the way to people graduating high. It's a great place to work. I'm happy to work there.
Well, I heard you say earlier in the interview that it's normally like a 2 month time range. So, kind of break down your services. I know you all provide shelter as well as housing and helping them find somewhere to go. What is it like between that 2 month time, or can it vary? You can come in for a week or so. What is it like?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it really varies depending on each family's barriers, right? Some people come in and, they're evicted and they have all kinds of debt and other things, like water bills or electric bills and things like that. If they don't have a job, some of these things have been piling on for a little bit. So we have families that stick around longer than others because there's just different barriers that we have to work with. We have shelter case managers that work specifically with every family that comes in to Bethany House. So as soon as you arrive, you're going to have an assessment, and we're trying to make sure, variety of things like where you've been living and like have you been living outside. I'm not I'm not a social worker, but there's lots of social workers who are doing all this work with our families as soon as they arrive. And we actually have a program services staff that works directly with children's services that come to Bethany House. So when we're trying to make sure that a family arrives, like we're trying to think, hey, is this child been in school? Like where have they been in school? Can we get them back in school? Because often families who are experiencing homelessness, the child switches schools 3 to 5 times a year here in Cincinnati. The national average is actually higher, closer to 7 and 8.
Wow,
But
that's
yeah, I mean,
good.
imagine if you're a child in school trying to learn all these different, you might be, learning geometry in every, different school, but you might be learning something different. You might be relearning the same thing, or trying to make friends, for example, at a new school every 3 months. Just being the new kid at a school every 3 months is pretty difficult. So that's the average here in Cincinnati, though. So we're trying to make sure we're covering all these bases for our kids, all these bases for our moms, our families. One of the first things we do is make sure they have jobs. You're not going to be able to rent a lot of times without a job. No landlord is going to rent without that. So that's one of the first things we do. If you're like working a minimum wage job, we're going to try to make sure we try to get to a different job that is maybe higher than minimum wage. Trying to make sure we don't have these same kind of pitfalls that lead to homelessness again, for
Right.
example. So we're trying to teach education and different things. Like we have life skill class, and this was pre-pandemic. We've tried to keep this up as much as we can, but that's not always possible. And I'll explain the situation right in a second. But we're trying to do education classes and different things where people come in and volunteer and hang out with the kids. But that all kind of changed a little bit when COVID hit because we had to move families out of two of our shelters. Overall, we have 5 shelters. 3 of them are like apartment style units where the family stays in and they have their own unit. We're working with them in there. But then we have 2 different other shelters, one in Fairmount, one in Bond Hill, that are communal style or almost dorm style, where they have their own sleeping quarters, but they don't have they all share showers and a space where you eat and things like that. So those families have been moved over to a hotel, and that's because we want to try to make sure we keep them safe. Because the spread of COVID, it made a lot of sense to us. We got to do something, otherwise there's going to be spread, and there's going to be a lot of people that might get. We don't want to do that. We're trying to make sure our families are safe at this time. What do you tell people? Because right at the beginning of this pandemic, everybody, shelter at home, say, shelter in place, stay at home. Well, what happens when you don't have a home, when you don't have a place to,
Right.
rest your head at night, right? So we thought that was our best and safest option for our families. So we're still doing those things, the children's services, moving families in and out of shelter. But right now, our shelter is the hotel. So it's been crazy. It's been a big difference for us, but it's been um, good for our families to be safe and in a place where it's secure.
I'm glad that you all were still able to make that adjustment. It shows the support of the community that you were able to put them in a hotel versus having to shut down the program because you don't have the funding to even fund their hotel stay. So I'm glad to see that. I know you all are working on like the capital campaign. What's that?
So I just want to talk a little bit more about the future of Bethany House. So I kind of mentioned earlier we have 5 shelters. Right now we have those 5 shelters plus 2 administration buildings. So buildings where like my offices are housed and our housing case managers' offices are housed. So together that's 7 buildings. But our goal really is to move and consolidate them all into one new space. And that capital campaign actually is happening right now. It's called our One Step Closer to Home capital campaign. The goal is to raise right around $16.5 million for a new consolidated shelter and comprehensive services center. So we'll be able to serve over 100 more families in this new shelter throughout the year. Every family would have their own room. This would be a brand new building actually on the current site of where our Bond Hill shelter is. We've raised, last I heard from our CEO, our CEO, Susan Schiller's doing all of the fundraising for it, right around 11.5 million, I believe. So our goal right now, what we're trying to do is hit, I know that's so much, it's crazy because it seems like that's such a plausible, like really good amount. And it is like, we are like so happy with that, but like we still have a ways to go.
I know.
And we're trying to raise $2.5 million still to get to 14 million. Once we get to 14 million, there's federal treasury money, new market tax credits is what they're called, to help us get to that 2.5. Last 2.5 million, we need to hit the 16.5. So long story short, we need about 2.5 to get 2.5. So that's where we're at. It's looking like a really, really nice building. We have a spot directly on our website dedicated to it. So if anybody's ever, looking and wondering what they can do and how they can help in any way to families who really need it here in Cincinnati, you can check out our website. It's bethanyhouseservices.org. Right in the middle, we have a campaign page called New Building Campaign. So that will explain a lot of what we're doing right now with this. So the building's looking great. We have some photos on there of what it's going to look like, and we're going to be adding more soon as we get more renderings of the building.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, it looks like the new building is gonna really take your organization to the next level. Everything in one place.
Yeah, instead of 7 different buildings, just think about
Correct.
how difficult that is for our staff to travel back and forth. Our donations are spread up across like 4 different buildings. Like there's some in the shelter and then there's some in our basement because that's where the space is. That's the space that we have. But when our new building, it's going to be a giant cafeteria able to fit, I think 190, I think is what they were looking at, even up above that. So I don't want to quote
Okay.
that number, that's what they're looking at. But it's going to be significantly more families we're going to be able to help throughout the year. There's going to be medical services, mental health services space in this building as well. There's going to be offices upstairs and elevator as well for where they can come up, so it'll be handicap accessible. So we're really looking forward to this new building. There's going to be just space upon space for our children, common space, new computers, and it's going to be amazing. We're really looking forward to it.
Are
So
we aiming for a year or a date to make the goal happen?
we need to fundraise the money pretty quickly. Still, is what we're looking to do. Like I mentioned, we've we've selected a lot of designs and a construction company and an architecture firm. A lot of all those things have already happened. What we're trying to do is get to this our final kind of push here, and over the next I think month, I'd have to talk more with our CEO to be exactly for sure on our timing, but we're looking at sometime next month to begin construction. But it all depends. So
It's a
um,
process.
yeah, it's a process. So
Well, tell me this before we go. I know you all do the Mardi Gras event. Are you all still having that this year?
absolutely. So just on the event front, on February 16th, we're going to be hosting a live virtual event called Mardi Gras for Homeless Children. It's a partnership event with the Northern Kentucky Restaurant Association, Brighton Center, and Welcome House, Northern Kentucky. Those are 2 family shelters that also help and feed children in Northern Kentucky. So it's a big event that's typically like 1,500 people over at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center. But this year, obviously, we can't do that. So
I
it's
know.
all virtual. We're all really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a live virtual. We have a band playing, so you can just have your screen up. We have what called Mardi Gras home baskets that you purchase that will deliver by a certain date to you. So if you did sign up, that's something you would get in there. So it comes with a hurricane, kind of a hurricane kit, Mardi Gras beads, a mask. So fun, very fun things. Looking forward to it.
I'm so glad you were able to come on and talk about the Bethany House. I actually learned a lot more information about it than I ever knew today. So thank you so much again for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you so much for having me on. If anybody has any questions, they can give me a call. Check out our website, bethanyhouseservices.org. Our phone number is 513-921-1131, right to our front desk. So we can get you volunteered. If you're very interested in doing that, I'd love to meet you and get that going.
Now, if somebody is watching or listening from home and they are feeling led to donate, what are some ways that they can help families right now?
Yeah, so there's two main ways that you can help our families currently staying at Bethany House. I mentioned those people the families that are staying at the hotel. We are looking for people to actually help make dinners for those families. So we actually have two options where you can provide for all 23 families or half of them. You schedule that with me actually. So if you do, like I said, want to help out, you can email me as well, just info@bhsinc.org. So I'd be more than happy to help with that. So that's the first way. That's a dinner, once again, provided to our family staying at the hotel. And the second way is a Bethany House Basics donation drive. So as families exit shelter and enter to their own homes, their own apartments, their own spaces, we're trying to make sure they have all the things that we consider basic that everybody would need, to move into any space. Um, Bed sheets, pillows, blankets, towels, silverware, a trash can, a laundry basket, all those things. We're looking for what, like I said, we call them Bethany House basics. So those are always very, very appreciated, and those do need to be new. We try to make sure everything that we give our families are new. Um, we even have something every Friday called a Friday wish list posted on our Facebook. Right now, one of those things is crock pots we're looking for. So every Friday, we post something new that our families need that week more than others. Sometimes it's pots and pans, sometimes it's crock pots, sometimes it's other stuff. This week, it's crock pots. So that's another way to help. So those are actually the three ways to help currently.
Thank you so much again. Tell us the website before we get up out of here. Where can they go and learn more and donate?
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, the website is bethanyhouseservices.org, bethanyhouseservices.org, exactly how it sounds. So, or if you want to, if you feel the need, please give me a call, 513-921-1131.
Thanks, Gage. I appreciate you for stopping
Thank
by.
you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All righty. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
This is Community Conversations on 1230 The Buzz, your talk station, 101.5, 101.1 The Wiz, and 100.3 Cincy's R&B station. If you would like to be a guest, all you have to do is send me an email, msebonyj at radio-1. Welcome to Community Conversations. I am Miss Ebony J, the Queen of Queens. So glad to be here with you. This is Community Conversations on 1230 The Buzz, your talk station on 101.5, 101.1 The Wiz, and 100.3 Cincy's R&B station. I'm Miss Ebony J. Love to be here. Sundays is my favorite day of the week just because we get to come and talk about the problems happening in the community and how nonprofit organizations are making a difference. And I have in here with me today a nice, beautiful queen, Miss Letitia Owens, who is the founder of Guiding Light Mentoring. How you doing, beautiful?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're here. I want you to talk to us about Guiding Light Mentoring because I know right now it's been very hard during COVID to keep our kids engaged, informed. They're tired of the virtual. The parents are tired of the virtual, but it's always so amazing and easier to help when we have mentors. So talk about Guiding Light Mentoring. Tell us about your organization and why did you get started?
Yes, so started Guiding Light mentoring in 2014. So it's definitely one of those things of not anything that I wanted to do, but it was definitely God ordained. So he was like, "This is what you're going to do." I tried to do a group home, a homeless shelter, daycare center, and he was like, "No, that's not what you're going to do." So that's really in a niche of like how it started, and it just grew on me, and I love kids anyway. I've started working with kids in 2004. So and then with this whole process, right, so the guiding light, God is our light, he's our, helps us and push us. So that was like the idea of like having that support and that guidance for kids. But even during this process, he's also I'm seeing ways in which he's been my quote unquote like mentor as well. So just as much as just this for the kids, it's definitely for me and draw me closer to him, as well as he surrounded me with other mentors out there that can support me as well.
I heard you say that you had your mind on doing this, and this, but God told you to do it this way. Was that hard for you to be obedient? Was that scary? Following what he has put on you, even though you don't feel like you were ready?
It's not scary, but is it a faith walk? And are there those challenges? Yes. Are there some days to this day and I'm like, I quit. I don't want to do it. Yes, but I think that's just life. Like sometimes when things get hard, you have that thought, but it's not anything that I'm really going to do. But it has its ups and downs. But I think I wouldn't trade it in the world if you're asking me that, like, would I do something different? Like, no, I love what I do. I'm excited to see new things and new doors and new opportunities God is going to bless the organization with. So it has its challenges. Definitely hard to do it. What was hard actually was him telling me to leave my full-time job to do this full-time. That was the struggle because I'm like, wait, like I don't get paid as much as what my full-time employer is paying me. Why would I do this? This doesn't make sense. So that was the struggle.
And how did you get over that? Because, oh my goodness, I'm 3 months into full time entrepreneurship, boy, and it is no joke at all. It's no joke. I just don't know how to describe what you go through. It's like an up and down wave.
Yeah, that's totally what it is. It's one of those things too. I mean, I found myself continue to get frustrated at work, and so God has nudged me, but I'm like, no, steady paycheck, I'm staying. But then I just kept finding myself getting like frustrated. Oh my gosh, I could get on my nerves. Like, why are they doing this? Because you're so limited to what you can do. Like you have a vision when you work for someone else, but because they have their own vision and goals for the organization, you can't step outside of that. So I found myself getting frustrated, and I was like, okay, just okay, God, I hear you. I'm gonna do it. And then the beauty of it is, it's caused me to budget, like really, really budget. So I make less, but I have so much more. If that makes sense.
Yes, it makes so much sense. it's it's no joke, right?
Right.
That's why I always ask people, like, what is that faith walk like? Because it can be very challenging, but you learn to rely solely on him. I tell people all the time, prayer is a part of my business strategy because
Oh
I don't
yes.
know what else to do.
Right.
We have to work this thing out together.
Right. And
But
also surrounding yourself with those prayer warriors too, right? You feel it that day, but if you're able to have those prayer warriors with you, they can give you that strength to push forward too.
yes. And so I love the idea behind guiding like mentoring because, like you said, he's guiding you and you're guiding them. You all are, spreading the light around. So, what are the age groups that, come through your mentorship program?
So yeah, so we work with youth between the ages of 8 to 18. So I know that's a broad range, but that's what God said. He didn't, but it works out because each service that we provide has a different age group. So like with the mentorship program we have, that's the whole 8 to 18, but and the tutoring, because we provide tutoring assistance as well. But then when you get into our youth or summer leadership program, that's geared towards the elementary students, the fourth to sixth grade. And then when you get into our youth, which we have coming up next weekend, that's geared towards our high school students. So everybody's getting something, and some things are divided up, and then you have the big range where it supports our youth.
So you make sure that you don't mix and mingle them in the different age groups, but they are separated in their category and they have different services that, boom, these guys may need to talk about this because they're this age versus these guys are talking about this and they're this age. And that's where the conversation stays.
Correct. And sometimes like I said, with the mentoring, those come together, like certain events or community outings we have for that particular program, they're able to mix and mingle. But for the most part, it's that particular age group.
Okay, I like that. So how do parents sign their kids up for the mentorship?
Yeah, they could just go to our website at www.guidinglightmentoring.org, and then they click on, I believe it's the services tab, and then underneath it, it'll say youth application.
So you got to apply because we don't accept just anyone, but we like to make sure that we have the right person working with your child. Now, do you all go through the background screening processes before you all hire mentors, or what is that like? How do you all decide who can be a mentor?
Yep. So the mentors have to fill out an application as well. And then we ask them for 2 professional references as well as 1 personal reference. There's the background screening, there's the orientation, and then we also do ongoing training so that they are aware of different things that youth are facing today. That way they can better be able to support them and then just understand what they're doing, right? So it's not a thing of condoning some of the behaviors and choices that the child is making, but it's giving you an understanding like, oh, okay, because your basic needs aren't met, then this is probably why you're acting out in school or at home or in the community.
Correct. So if you have your child, I've signed my child up to be a part of this mentorship program. Does my child meet monthly, weekly, or how does that interaction happen? Is it like a weekend thing? What's the consistency like?
Yes, so the mentors, they sign up for a year, but we also are in that process of really asking the mentors to stay on longer because we don't want it to be you create this fabulous relationship with a kid and then 1 year is up and then like you're done. And then that's the problem because these kids, they don't have stable and healthy relationships with adults. So we definitely want to keep it. And we actually have like a couple of mentors that have been with the organization for 2 to 3 years. But and so they sign on for 1 year minimum, but then they also have the minimum requirement of meeting with their mentees 8 hours a month. So that can be 2 hours each week or 4 hours, bi-weekly. Of course, with COVID-19, we've been a little bit more flexible. So some of them are not meeting in person as much, but they're still, talking to them FaceTime and are doing virtual meetings. So there's still that level of engagement there.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question. I know COVID has definitely put a spin on all of our businesses, but we still want to engage the community and still want to make sure we're doing things. I was wondering how you all have been able to adapt. So now you're still just doing virtual stuff. I know the students need, they need the outside interactions. They need to be able to go on trips, and I know we used to do field trips with the kids, right? They used to be able to go out and do those kind of activities. Are you all still doing things like that with the mentorship program?
So yeah, they're still going out one-on-one with their mentors in the community and doing some things. But what we've done too is we've opened up our office space, like because of COVID-19, and some people aren't comfortable with going to places out in the community and because of the cold weather. So we've allowed them to use our office space where they can like play board games or they can work with some social skills or they can watch a movie. We actually have a kitchen in here, well, kitchenette, but they're still able to cook. So they're still getting those skills from their mentor. They're just doing it in a different capacity because of COVID-19.
Have you had any bad feedback from the students? How are they taking it, or are they enjoying the virtual?
They're tired of virtual. They really want to be in person. It's hard. They're Zoomed out or Google Meet out, whatever platform they're using for school. So it's definitely hard and challenging for them. But I think the plus side of it is they have not only the support from their family, but their mentors that can, just continue to pour life into them and encourage them.
This is Community Conversations on 1230 The Buzz, your talk station 101.5, 101.1 The Wiz, and 100.3 Cincy's R&B station here talking with Miss Letitia Owens about her organization, Guiding Light Mentoring. This organization has been how long has it been around for?
A little bit over 6 years.
So it's really still growing. I remember just seeing, you all doing the banquet.
Yep.
You're, I know with COVID we had to change a lot of things, but what can we expect for some things that you all are going to be doing this year?
So what we have coming up next weekend is our youth summit. So the theme behind this is freedom to choose, right? So it's like thinking about everything youth has been going through, like last year with COVID-19, with this remote learning and then social isolation from their peers. And it was like, man, like they've still been able like to push through this, being able to push through and stuff like that. So God gave me like this freedom. And so I was like, okay, well, freedom with what? So what I do is I look at, and I'm giving you a lot more than what you're asking, but I look at like some of the each time we do the youth summit, the kids tell me like what they want to learn the next time. And so they wanted to know about like mental health and like financial literacy and stuff like that. So with the youth summit that's taking place on February the 13th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. via Zoom, that's what they're going to learn. They're going to learn how to ask for help and not get caught up with the stigma of seeking help and the stigma with mental health in the Black community. They're going to learn how to be financial free. And they're going to learn about like physical health and not just like being fit and eating healthy, but having that mindset that I'm going to be determined and I'm going to have that will to reach whatever goals that I have for myself. And then in addition to the kids going through those workshops, we have parent workshops too. So this one is more about what is your parent vision, your mission statement for your family, and learning those parenting skills so that you can be able to support your child through whatever it is that they may be going through. And that is a free event. They can go to our website, spring.org, to register for the event. And then outside of that, we're planning our summer program, not sure quite yet what we're going to do. And then we're still thinking about our gala. We have a board meeting coming up next week, so we're not sure. More than likely it's going to be virtual, but we haven't figured it out yet.
Well, you let me know. I definitely want to be a part of it this year if I can, if there's anything that I can do to help out. It's so important that we continue our missions and visions. And I love the fact that you all are mentoring our parents a little bit. You're not leaving them out the ringer, right? Because yes, we can get the kids together all day long, but the roots are in the house with them.
Exactly.
And they need some assistance as well. So I love to hear that the parents are getting some love through your program.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We take that holistic approach. Like you said, you can treat the child all you want. If you're putting them back in that chaotic environment, then it making sense. So yeah, we definitely have the requirement of parent engagement and helping them to meet whatever barriers they may be facing.
Now you've been a part of this organization for the entire 6 years, and being able to watch it grow and bloom. What milestones or what could you say is like some of your proudest moments? Being able to just watch how your organization has grown from that idea to now.
I think just the feedback that we get, especially from like the kids and the mentors and the parents, like that feedback is, one of our kids in the program, I called her our ambassador, and she just talked about like and she's been her mentor for 2 years, and so she was like, with her, I've been able to like improve my relationships like with my family and being able to like express my feelings, and she'll tell you like she battles with depression, but she's like, but my mentor helped me to like navigate that and my anxiety to hear those testimonies of what a mentor does. And again, to your point, not only to the child, but the family as a whole, because right, like if my child is feeling good, then sometimes my child is going to influence me to make some better choices for myself as well. So I think that, and then just seeing the growth, like it started out with us just doing community-based mentorship. And then God was like, all right, now you're going to add on the summer program. All right, now you're going to add on this youth summit. So I'm excited to see what other things he has in store for us. I don't even know what they are yet.
Yes, but we know they're going to be great. We know they're going to be great. Let us know again the website. We can go if you have any social media that we can go to just to connect. Listeners, might want to join. And the summit is next week. So we want them to go and show up and be a part. So yes, give us the website again.
The website is www.guidinglightmentoring.org. All our Facebook handles with Facebook, all our social media handles, or Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it's Guiding Light Mentoring. So yeah, and then with the IME Youth Summit, there are swag bags. So there's, and we're going to have some raffles and some giveaways and stuff like that that you can come pick up, or we'll drop off to you. So we definitely want people to participate.
I like that we can still get swag bags even when we doing virtual events now. You still
Yeah.
kind of get that moment. I've had things being delivered to my house like right before the event, and then I've had to go pick up things, and I just think that that makes the event extra special.
Right, I do too. Yeah.
So thank you so much again for stopping by, Miss Letitia. I appreciate you. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. Keep shining your light, and keep finding these great mentors to help our babies. Are you still looking for mentors right now?
You broke up a little bit. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Are you currently looking for mentors now? Are you still accepting them?
Yes, we're always looking for mentors. Yes, 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 yes. And they can go on our website too at guidinglightmentoring.org and click on the volunteer tab and fill out the application.
Perfect. Well, thanks again. I appreciate you for coming through. If you need anything else, have anything else coming up, just feel free to let me know, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
No problem. This is Community Conversations on 1230 The Buzz, your talk station, 101.1 The Wiz, 100.3 Cincy's R&B station. If you would like to be a guest, all you have to do is shoot me an email, msebonyj@radio-1.com. See you next week.
Bye.